So, my friends here, they've served longer than I have in the Congress, but fortunately they haven't become part of the ways of that crazy town. When people get elected to Congress, they start to think things are normal that we would never think is normal. They actually will go to an empty room and speak for an hour with nobody listening. And they convince themselves that that's how you legislate and get stuff done. Now, in the campaign I'm running to stay working for you as your congressman, some folks have criticized me for going on television too much. And my theory is, I'd rather be on TV trying to excite the imagination of the American people, trying to get the entire Trump movement motivated to save the country, rather than being in some stuffy hall in Congress talking to a room that's empty. And so one of my mentors, thank you. You know, the person who I think crystallizes what we need to do and has an action plan for it is Jim Jordan. And so, Jim, I was hoping you could share with my constituents the importance of kind of making our argument beyond the Beltway. And you are the first person I could think of in American history who is actually running for Speaker of the House to the American people, not to the insiders in Washington. Explain why you made that decision and why you think it's important to talk to regular folks.
Well, it probably is the first time someone's tried to nationalize what, in effect, is a student council election. You know, when this all plays out, it's if we keep the majority, which I think we're going to do, then it's the 200 and some Republicans who decide who their nominee is going to be, and then you go to the floor of the House, and you got to get 218 votes on the floor of the House at the 1st of January at the new Congress. We just felt like it comes back to what I said earlier. We formed this group of conservatives in Washington called the Freedom Caucus. Our mission statement, we talk about the countless number of families who feel like Washington has forgotten them. Our job is to remember them and to fight for them and to do it with a smile on our face. I tell folks all the time, we should be excited. We should be cheerful about what we're doing. After all, it's the truth. Vice President Pence has a great line. He says, "I'm a conservative and I'm not mad about it," right? When you got the truth on your side, let's go fight and understand, like the governor mentioned, the press is going to attack you. That's just the way it works. I tell my colleagues, if the press isn't saying something bad about you, you're not doing anything any good. That's just the nature of the game. Yeah. And Matt's right. It's important that you communicate some of the crazy things that are going on. You know, we've all three been involved in what the FBI did. What they did at the Department of Justice is as bad as it gets, and we're going to talk about it because it's so bad. It is so wrong. Well, thank you. This is our second stop, and I said at the first one.
I got to interrupt you, man. Apparently, we got the hearing on the social media thing. Judiciary did.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So we wanted the Judiciary Committee to hold hearings on this question, and there was a issue about whether or not it would be the committee that Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and Ron DeSantis and Louis Gohmert sit on, or whether it would be a committee that has maybe a bit more of a receptive audience to those who want to keep things how they are. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But that's a critical point. That's great news. Twitter shadow banned 4 of us: Mr. Meadows, Mr. Gaetz, Mr. Nunes, and myself. And after this shadow ban, which I didn't even know what the term was, these young guys know what that stuff is, and I learned about it. And they said they shadow banned us, and then Twitter's explanation is, well, it was a glitch in our algorithm. And my response was, well, what was in your algorithm? The names Meadows, Gaetz, Nunes, and Jordan? I mean, come on, this makes no sense. And so they've been sort of stonewalling, not wanting to come in front of us, and I'm glad they are. But I said earlier today about the press, you know, think about it. Cal Thomas has a great line, a syndicated columnist, some of you may have read him, when he talks about the way normal people see things and the way the elite national media, the New York Times, the Washington Post view things. And Mr. Thomas says, I get up every morning, I read my Bible in the New York Times so I can see what each side's up to. A lot of truth to that. So our job is not to represent what Washington wants, what the New York Times may want. Our job is to do what the American people elect us to do. And when you get there, to Matt's point, when you get there, there are always a zillion reasons why you shouldn't do what you said you were going to do, and more importantly, what you were elected to do. You got to forget all that, and you got to focus on doing what you were sent to accomplish. This guy's going to do that when he's your next governor. Matt's been doing it in Washington. Ron's been doing it in Washington. They're going to continue. So thank you again for sending them both there.